I got the job through a guy I barely knew. He wasn't even really a friend, more like a cousin of a girl I dated for a few months in college. I think his name was Nemo or something. I didn't even like him, honestly. But I'd been laid off from 2 jobs in a row, and rent was overdue again. So when he messaged me about a night watch opening at the old Oak Hill Cemetery, I didn't hesitate. The pay wasn't great, but it was enough. And besides, how hard could it be? I figured most of the time I'd just be sitting around doing nothing. Maybe walking around every couple of hours, keeping an eye out for vandals or teenagers messing around. I even thought I'd bring my laptop and work on writing again. It seemed like the kind of quiet gig that gives your brain space to breathe. The cemetery was on the outskirts of town, tucked behind a patch of woods that nobody really went into. Not even the kids. It had this heavy, sunken feeling to it, like the land there had stopped caring about the rest of the world. Trees leaned too far to the left or right. The grass grew in thin patches, and the stones were mostly old, faded, and cracked in places. The newer part of the cemetery was near the front, near the small parking area and the rust-colored caretaker's shed. When I came in for the interview, there was just this thin guy behind a desk in the shed. No nameplate, no handshake. Just a clipboard and a set of keys. He barely looked up at me. He said if I wanted the job, I had to read the list of rules and agree to follow them. That was the first red flag. But again, rent. So I took the clipboard. The list was printed in simple font, clean white paper. No letterhead. No company logo. Just a title, rules for the night shift, and a numbered list. 23 rules in total. The first few seemed normal. Arrive no later than 8:45 p.m. Your shift begins at 9 sharp. Walk the full perimeter by 9:10 p.m. Use the flashlight. Keep your phone off until the check is done. Okay, sure. Makes sense. Routine and punctuality. I kept reading. If you see fresh flowers on grave 217, remove them immediately. Do not look around. Do not stop walking. Never answer the front gate intercom after midnight. It will buzz. Ignore it. If the caretaker is on the premises during your shift, leave. Go home and don't come back for 3 days. That's when I started thinking it was either a prank or some kind of hazing for new hires. But the guy behind the desk just sat there, waiting, not even pretending to be amused. He said nothing. He looked tired, in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion, like someone who hadn't slept right in years. I kept reading. If you hear footsteps behind you while walking between plots 400 and 410, do not turn around. Walk faster. Grave 338 is empty. If you see anything there, leave the cemetery immediately. My throat tightened. It didn't feel like a joke anymore. The rules didn't have that winking, try-hard tone that pranks usually do. They were too plain, too blunt, like someone had seen things they didn't want to describe, so they just wrote what to do and hoped it would be enough. Still, the money was money, and I was tired of asking friends for help. I signed the sheet at the bottom and handed it back. The man handed me a set of keys, a heavy flashlight, and a worn-out little notebook. Inside the notebook were hand-drawn maps of the cemetery. Some of the plots were circled in red. Others had notes next to them in shaky handwriting. Avoid after 3 a.m., or do not face this one directly. That night was my first shift. I got there at 8:42, sat in my car for a bit, then stepped out when the air got too still. It was already darker than I expected. No street lights out here, just the weak glow of the shed's light bulb and the rising moon. The gate was manual. Old iron, squeaky, but still strong. I locked it behind me and started the perimeter walk. I had the rules memorized already. I walked the fence line, flashlight beam shaking a little as I tried to move quick but not draw attention to myself. That didn't make sense. There was no one here. But I felt watched. like someone was counting my steps. By 9:09, I was back at the shed. I turned off my phone, like it said, and flipped open the notebook. I decided to walk the central path. The cemetery was laid out in a strange way. Not rows, more like clusters, and some stones were angled weird, not facing the path like they should. Grave 217 was in the northeast corner. I found it faster than I thought. There were flowers on it. Not fresh, but not dead either. Yellow ones, like someone had left them maybe an hour ago. I didn't like that. I bent down, grabbed the flowers, and walked. I didn't look around. I didn't stop. I walked in a straight line to the trash bin near the fence and threw them in. My hands felt damp even though it wasn't hot. I told myself it was just nerves. I'd get used to it. Back near the shed, I sat down on a little wooden bench and waited. The rest of the night passed slow, and nothing else happened. I went home feeling stupid for how tense I'd been. But that changed by the third night. The intercom buzzed at 12:17, just like the rules said. I'd forgotten about that rule. I hadn't looked at the list again after the first night. It had started to feel unnecessary. I wasn't seeing anything weird. Just an old graveyard, some creaking trees, occasional rustle of wind through dry leaves. But then the buzzing came. Not loud. Just a dry little burr, like someone had pressed it for too long. I was halfway through a crossword in the shed and dropped my pen when I heard it. I froze. I didn't move for maybe a full minute. Then it buzzed again. I stood up, moved slowly to the little security monitor. It was black and white, grainy, but clear enough to see the gate. There was someone standing there. Tall, thin, hands at their sides. Head tilted too far forward, like their neck had folded wrong. They didn't move. I didn't answer. The rule said not to. The buzzing stopped eventually. I didn't see them leave. But they weren't there when I checked again at 1 a.m. I started reading the rules every shift after that. Carefully, like scripture. Over the next few weeks, things escalated. Slowly. On my 8th shift, I heard someone crying near the older plots. Just soft weeping. When I got close, it stopped. Grave 338 had footprints around it one night, even though it hadn't rained and the ground was dry. Once, I swear the flashlight flickered when I walked past plot 410. The batteries were new, but the light dimmed like it was being smothered. I didn't hear footsteps that time. I didn't wait to. Another time, a plastic toy appeared on top of grave 103. It was one of those little spinning tops, bright red and yellow, the kind you twist and let go. It was spinning slowly when I saw it. No wind. Nothing to make it move. I kicked it away and kept walking. The rules kept me alive. That's what I started telling myself. If I followed them, I'd be okay. If I respected the weirdness, I'd make it to sunrise. Then, on night 23, the caretaker showed up. He wasn't supposed to. That was Rule 5. It was around 2:40 a.m. I was doing a second sweep of the western side, near the tree line. And there he was, standing near the back gate. Same guy from the desk. Same blank face. He didn't say anything. Didn't wave. Just stood there. I turned and walked straight back to the shed, grabbed my stuff, got in my car, and drove off. I didn't go back for 3 days. When I returned, the notebook had a new note in it. Just a few words written in different handwriting. Good, you remembered. I still don't know who wrote it. I've kept the job. Don't ask me why. Maybe because nothing else feels real anymore. Like the cemetery is the only place where rules matter. Where there's a system, even if it's twisted and old and terrifying. Last week, a new rule was added. If the grave marked 509 is ever open, close your eyes. Walk away. Never return to it. That grave didn't exist on the map before, I checked. I double-checked. I went looking for it yesterday, just to see. I shouldn't have. There was a hole in the ground. Fresh dirt. No headstone. Just a wooden marker. The number 509 carved into it, rough and jagged like it was done with a pocket knife. I haven't slept since, and the buzzing has started coming earlier. And now the footsteps don't wait until I'm near plot 400. I don't know what happens if I break a rule. I don't want to know. The only thing worse than fear is curiosity. If you ever get offered a job at Oak Hill, and they hand you that list, say no. Walk away. I didn't. And now, I think I'm part of whatever system those rules are holding together. Some balance older than the stones in that place. One last thing. Sometimes, when I leave at sunrise, I check the monitor before I lock up. There's something wrong with the feed. I always see myself standing at the gate, just outside the cemetery, facing the camera, not moving. But I'm inside, looking at the screen. That version of me never leaves. And I think it's starting to smile. I've stopped counting how many nights I've worked now. Time doesn't move right up here. You think it's been a week, but it's 2. You think it's 2 hours past midnight, but it's 9:17 p.m. You think you're alone, but you're not. After I found grave 509, something shifted. Not just in the cemetery, but in me. Before that, the rules felt like a shield. A barrier between me and whatever the hell was out there. But since that night, they feel more like a leash. Something that keeps me close. Close enough to be watched. I didn't quit. I wanted to. I actually packed up my stuff, threw the carrying in a drawer, and planned to never go back. But by the 3rd night off, I started hearing sounds. Not at the cemetery, at my apartment. Scraping. Like something sharp dragging along the inside of the walls. My bedroom door would creak open just a little, always around 3:11 a.m. Never fully. Just enough that I could see the hallway light bleeding in. One night, I saw the gate intercom in a dream. I wasn't even asleep for long, just drifted off on the couch. In the dream, the intercom buzzed and buzzed and buzzed. When I finally looked at the screen, there was no gate, just my bedroom, and someone standing in the corner. I went back the next night. The shed was just how I left it, but someone had added a note inside the notebook. It wasn't typed. It wasn't in that same rough handwriting as before. It was clean, careful, too neat. Good. You understand now. Keep showing up. That's when I started noticing the rules changing. Sometimes small. One night, Rule 3 didn't say anything about flowers. Just said, check grave 217. Count to 60. Then leave. The next night, it was back to the flowers again. Another night, Rule 11, which used to be about avoiding the far northeast gate, was replaced with do not speak out loud after 2:45 a.m. Not even to yourself. I hadn't even realized I talked to myself until I had to stop. I kept my mouth shut, but one night I heard someone else muttering. Not near me. Out in the rows, maybe 20 feet away, just under their breath. No clear words, just a rhythm. Like a prayer or a list. I didn't go toward it. That same night, my flashlight beam cut across a stone that was never there before. It was smooth, untouched by weather. No name, no dates. Just the words, "This is yours," carved into the middle. Same clean handwriting as the note in the book. I didn't tell anyone. Who would I tell? I stopped seeing the caretaker. The guy from the first day never came back. But the intercom still buzzes every night, no matter what. Even when I unplugged the speaker once, it kept buzzing. I don't even try now. I just walk past it and ignore the sound. Around the 2nd month, I started seeing lights out past the trees. Not flashlights. Not car lights. Flickers. Little blue flares that rise out of the ground, hover, then blink out. I followed one once. It led me to a cluster of graves that weren't marked on the map. No numbers, no notes, just small stone markers, each with a handprint carved into the top. Not painted, not engraved, like actual hands had pressed into wet concrete. There were 7 of them. The last one was still warm. I left without checking the time. The rules say nothing about those graves. They don't exist in the book. I tried writing my own note in the back about them, but when I came the next night, my note was gone. Like I'd never written it at all. In its place, there was just one new sentence scribbled in. You don't make rules. You follow them. That was the first time I threw up in the shed. One shift, I decided to test one of the minor rules. Rule 12. At exactly 4:10 a.m., shine your light at the statue near the northern tree line. Just once. No more. I didn't do it. I just skipped it. Didn't even walk that direction. I stayed by the gate with my back to the fence and watched the seconds pass on my phone. 4:10 came and went. Nothing happened. At first. Then around 4:23, I started hearing something dragging across the grass. It didn't sound like footsteps. It sounded like something pulling itself. Like elbows or knees, slow and heavy. I waited 5 full minutes before I moved. When I finally turned around, there were grooves in the grass. Fresh ones, leading from the tree line to within a few feet of the shed. There was also a fingerprint on the inside of the shed window. I didn't hear or see anything the rest of that night. But the next shift, Rule 12 was back with an addition. Failure to comply will result in proximity. Proximity. That word's been stuck in my head ever since. I didn't even know how much I feared it until I read it. Things started bleeding through more often after that. Sounds in the dirt, breathing behind stones. A smell like burnt hair that follows me from plot to plot. Sometimes I feel the ground hum under my feet, like something's trying to talk through it. One night, I found a grave with my own name on it. I stared at it for a long time. It was carved deep, like whoever did it had taken their time. My birth date was right, but the death date was blank. Just a smooth patch of stone, waiting. That same night, every flashlight on the property stopped working. I had to walk the grounds using the moon. The shadows moved too much. I don't think they were mine. Rule 19 says, if a second moon appears in the sky, do not look at it directly. Keep your eyes on the ground until it's gone. I never understood that one, until last Friday. It was around 2 a.m. Sky was clear, air was cold enough to sting. I looked up out of habit. There were 2 moons. One was bright, natural, full. The other was smaller. Red, it didn't glow. It just hung there, like a wound in the sky. It wasn't in the same spot. It moved on its own, like it was searching for something. I dropped to my knees and stared at the dirt. I stayed like that for 40 minutes. I didn't even breathe loud. When I finally looked up again, it was gone. I still don't know if I passed a test that night or if something just missed me by chance. The rules don't protect me anymore. That's what I realized. They feed it. All of it. Whatever it is. Maybe the rules are the only thing keeping this place from swallowing the whole town. Maybe following them keeps the doors mostly shut, and stepping outside them invites something else through. But lately, I've been wondering if the rules are learning me. Adapting. Noticing what scares me most and shifting around it. Getting personal. This past Tuesday, Rule 6, the one about footsteps behind plots 400 to 410, changed. Now it says, if you feel breath on your neck between plots 400 and 410, stop walking. Do not move until the air is cold again. That's not a general rule. That's for me. Because last shift, I felt that breath. It wasn't warm, exactly, but it was moist. Like something exhaling with lungs that had never held air before. It stayed there, behind me, for at least a minute. I could hear teeth clicking. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I just stood there like the rule said, staring straight ahead, locked in place. And then it was gone. Back at the shed, someone had left the intercom receiver off the hook. It wasn't buzzing anymore. It was speaking. Not in words. Just a slow hum, like someone tuning a radio, passing through voices that didn't belong to any station. Some laughed, some screamed. One voice just kept repeating my name. I've stopped going home after shifts. I sleep in my car a mile down the road now. If I go back to my apartment, things follow me. I saw footprints on the ceiling last time. Bare feet, long toes. And sometimes I catch my reflection doing things I'm not doing. Tilting its head, smiling, staring too long. The last page of the notebook is full now, not with rules, just with the same sentence written over and over. You are being watched from beneath. Every night, that line repeats, sometimes in ink, sometimes in what looks like ash. Once, it was scratched in with something sharp. The paper flaked when I touched it. I don't know what's beneath. I don't want to. But I do know this. There's no quitting now. There's no last day. There's no retirement. The job isn't just mine. I think I'm part of the cemetery now. Like a cell inside a lung, working without knowing the full body. Keeping the breath going. I don't know how many night guards came before me. But sometimes I see shapes in the distance wearing the same uniform. Same jacket. Same flashlight in hand. They never come close. And when I try to shine my light on them, it flickers, dies, comes back only when I turn away. One of them limps. One of them drags something. One of them walks perfectly still, without swinging its arms. I don't know which one I'll become. Maybe all of them. Tonight's rule list had a new final line. If your replacement ever arrives, do not speak to him. Not even to warn him. If he speaks to you, run. But here's the thing. Nobody told me these rules when I first started. So who did I replace? And why didn't they run? I don't know what night it is anymore. Not in any real way. The numbers on my phone still update, but they feel like guesses now. Like someone punching in dates just to keep me from unraveling. I'm not sure they're even mine. The shed looks different these days. Same shape, same size, but sometimes the windows are bigger than I remember. Sometimes there are more chairs. Sometimes the door swings shut on its own and locks behind me. I've had to climb out the back window twice now. Both times, something was tapping on the inside of the mirror next to the sink while I did. The rules are up to 31 now. Some nights, they vanish completely. Just blank pages. No instructions. I have to guess. Other nights, there's a new page added, but it's not in the notebook. It's on the desk, or pinned to the wall, or folded into my back pocket when I wasn't wearing a coat before. I found one wedged in my mouth when I woke up slumped on the bench. My jaw ached for days. They're not suggestions anymore. They're orders, and they're more specific than ever. Rule 27. If the dirt beneath grave 509 feels warm, press your palm to it. Count to 13. Do not react to the movement under your skin. Rule 29. You will hear a phone ring from under the statue at 2:47 a.m. Dig it up. Answer. Do not speak. Rule 31. Do not write your name down. Not even once. Not even here. That last one. I think that one came too late. Because I did write it. I don't remember when. But I saw it carved into the back of the cemetery gate last night. Not spray painted. Carved. Like someone had taken hours with a chisel. It wasn't just my first name either. It was my full name. Middle too. And the letters weren't alone. Below them, there was another line. Not English. Just black symbols. Circles and slashes and crosses inside of squares. They moved when I blinked. That's when the ground started breathing. I don't mean that poetically. I mean the actual earth started rising and falling like lungs, grass bending, loose soil shifting like something alive was stretching beneath it. And when I looked down, I saw footprints walking beside mine, perfectly parallel, keeping pace, fresh, but there was no one there. I tried calling someone after that shift. Old roommate, guy I used to play cards with. His voice was off, slurred, like he'd just woken up from too deep a sleep. He said he didn't know me. I said my name. I said it twice. He hung up. Later that night, I found a new note in the notebook. You were warned. Since then, things have been wrong in ways I can't explain. The intercom doesn't just buzz now. It speaks. It uses my voice, says things I don't remember saying. Last night it said, you left the gate open. I hadn't. But when I checked, it was swinging wide, hinges groaning. And there were footprints in the gravel outside. Bare feet, dozens of them, all pointing in. Sometimes when I walk between rows now, the names on the graves are gone. Blank. Just smooth stone. But the longer I stand there, the more I feel like I know who's buried where. Like the names are inside me now, etched behind my eyes. Grave 217 still gets flowers, but now they're black, wilted before I even pick them up. One night, I touched them without thinking, and my fingers went numb for 6 hours. Rule 14 says, do not remove the black flowers. Let them rot. I broke that one. The rules are becoming harder to follow. Not because they're complicated, but because they're changing faster than I can keep up. They rewrite themselves in real time now. I'll read Rule 8, look away, read it again, and it'll say something different. One time it said, he is standing behind you. I didn't turn around. That rule vanished the next night, but the feeling didn't. There's someone in the shed with me now, always just out of sight. I hear him breathing. Sometimes I hear the keys rattle on his belt. Once I saw his shadow on the wall, but there was no body casting it. It was just there, stretching long and thin, pulsing like it was breathing. I think that's the caretaker. Not the man who gave me the job, but whatever wore him. Whatever comes back when you stop following the rules. And that brings me to last night. Because something happened, something final, or close to it. At 1:33 a.m., the notebook flipped itself open. Page I hadn't seen before. Brand new rule, alone on the page. Your replacement has arrived. That's all it said. I froze. For a long time, I didn't move. I didn't even blink. I just stared at the words, waiting for more. None came. Then I heard footsteps. Not the dragging kind. Not the elbow-crawling, whispery ones. These were clean, confident. Boots. I looked at the monitor. There was someone at the gate. He looked like me. Same clothes, same haircut, same slouched posture, same flashlight clipped to the belt. He stood there, smiling, not waving, not asking to be let in, just smiling. Then the intercom buzzed. I didn't touch it, but it spoke anyway. His voice, my voice. I'm ready for my first shift. I ran. I don't remember getting to the car. I don't remember turning the key or peeling out of the gravel. I just remember looking in the rearview mirror and seeing him standing in the road, watching me drive off. That was last night. Now it's today. And I'm still hearing the buzzing. It's not from the cemetery anymore. It's coming from my apartment door. From the intercom that hasn't worked in years. And the monitor, the one I unplugged and stuffed in a drawer, it's on again, showing static. Then, just for a second, it showed the cemetery, but not the real one. The headstones were all gone. Just rows of people, standing still, facing the screen, Every one of them looked like me. I blinked. They were gone. And the intercom buzzed again. Louder this time. Longer. It's 8:45 p.m. now. My shift starts in 15 minutes. But I'm not going. I'm not opening the door. I don't care what the rules say anymore. I'm not going back. I'm not. Bye. Wait. New message in the notebook. No handwriting. Just burned into the paper. You don't decide when your shift ends. The buzzer won't stop. There's someone in the hall. I can hear keys. They're not mine.